Hi, I'm Beth Graves, and thank you for joining us on the Circus Arts Spotlight. Each week, we'll shine the spotlight on the people, programs, and events of the Circus Arts Conservatory. In addition to professional and student youth performances, we'll explore incredible outreach programs and learn how the circus arts impact so many aspects of life. For more information on today's topic, or anything circus arts related, please go to our website, circusarts.org. Now, let's get started. Hi, today we shine the spotlight on Jared Walker. Jared has been involved in the theater as an actor, director, choreographer, and designer, most recently as the costume manager and summer camp director for the Players Theater in Sarasota, Florida. He has spent over 25 years honing his craft and loves working with the Sailor Circus Academy students, developing the themes and costumes for all their shows. And we are happy to have him here today. Hi, Jared.
Hi, Beth. Thanks for having me.
Sure. So, let me just get organized. I realized I didn't have your questions. Okay, here we go. Sorry. So as I just described, your theater is in the background. Your theater is in the background. Your background is in theater. Can you please tell us a little bit about what you've done in the past?
Sure. I think theater's probably been a part of my life since I can remember. When I was in third grade, I got cast in a lead in my first play.
And what was that?
I was in an Easter musical, and I was Glum Bunny, and by the end, I become Sunny Bunny.
Aww,
so.
That's lovely.
So, but I guess to say that I was pretty hooked after that, of course. And then I've always been putting on backyard shows. My mother would have guests or friends over, and all of a sudden there would be a show in the living room. So I've been doing it a long time. I got into a show choir in high school and playing the piano. So music has always been a big part of my past. And I discovered theater in high school and went off to college at Shenandoah Conservatory in Winchester, Virginia, where I got my bachelor's degree in music and in theater.
Oh. And
pursued an acting career, which led me more to directing and costume design, things like that.
Okay, so what are some of the plays that you've been involved with?
Oh gosh, there's been so many. Well, let's see, some of the most recent ones in the last couple of years, my favorites, I directed Addams Family.
Oh.
I costumed it, and then later I played Gomez for 12 weeks.
Wow.
So I've done that. Crazy for You. Some of the newer ones, I've done Young Frankenstein recently.
A great play.
Very fun. Bullets Over Broadway. You about name a musical, I've had something to do with it, be it costuming, directing, or actually in the show.
And
so.
Have you done a lot of choreography?
Some choreography, yes. I wouldn't say that's my forte, but yes, I've done plenty of choreography as well.
For which types of shows?
Things that are probably more blocking type dance as opposed to like something that's balletic or tap, things like that.
So you did not do a chorus line?
I did not. I have not directed or choreographed a chorus line, no.
So when you were little, were you a fan of circus?
I have always liked the circus. I wouldn't say that it was something that was a part of my life, but yes, I saw many circuses, and I've always been impressed with the agility and the strength that it takes to create the acts.
But you never felt like, oh my gosh, I have to run away and join the circus?
No, it's not something that really drew me at all. Yeah. But my partner of now 15 years, he actually got his start here at the Sailor Circus. So it's been a big part of his life. Oh. And the fact that is part of his life has also influenced my love of the circus. I mean, when we got together, we went to the circus pretty much every year since we've been together, at least a circus a year.
Do you know what he did when he was in Sailor Circus? What his performances were?
He unicycle, trapeze. He was in the a hand balancing act with the guy. What's the guy's name that works for Circus History? He owns that.
I don't know his name, but I know who you're talking about. His name is Bob, but I can't remember his name.
He worked with them and those
if
guys.
If you're listening,
too.
I'm
Patty
really
Campbell.
sorry we don't remember. Patty.
And Patty Campbell. Yeah, they were in the Sailor Circus at the same time.
Yeah.
So circus has become more part of my life in the last 15 years.
Yeah.
And then, of course, these last too. So
Right, exactly. So I was going to ask you if you have memories attending a circus, but you just said that you did. And obviously you just said you never thought you'd work for one, and yet here you are.
Here I am.
So when you started thinking about possibly working for a circus, what sort of thoughts went through your mind when you were considering whether you wanted to make the move?
Well, it kind of all started when I took the ringmaster position at Circus Spectacular for Circus Sarasota 2 years ago during the summer. Became the ringmaster and started just chatting with Pedro about a lot of the things that I did do, costuming and directing and all the things that are involved with theater and a lot in circus as well, which just kind of brought me to saying that's maybe something I could be interested in doing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So for those of you that don't know, that are listening in the summer, the Circus Arts Conservatory does a presentation along with the Ringling Museum, where a circus presentation is done in the historic Oslo Theater, which is a very small, intimate theater. It holds about 275 people.
Beautiful theater.
It's just absolutely, it's been refurbished, and it's just beautiful. And there's paintings, and there's gold leaf. It's really very, it's like not like anything you've probably seen before. So we do a 1-hour circus presentation. It's very, very family friendly. It's very affordable. And I have 5 or 6 acts, and we have a ringmaster. So Jared kind of stepped in to fill our ringmaster's shoes, and he has not really left the fold ever since.
No, I'm still here.
But if you do plan on being in Sarasota in June, July, or the beginning of August, be sure to set aside some time to see the Summer Circus Spectacular at the Ringling Museum, because it really is, every year it's an incredible show.
Absolutely, and it's usually at least 5 to 6 professional acts that come to perform during
Correct.
that summer.
And they're just here to do that. And the shows do also sell out. So if you're planning on being here, you should try to get your tickets early. So how, being that you have a theater background, how have you been able to tie that into the circus and come up with ideas for the different circus shows?
Well, I guess how to come up with the ideas. Well, the first one was kind of thrown in. We always do a holiday show first in
Right.
the season. So you're kind of stuck in that holiday theme. And that first one was really taking a lot of existing acts that were already in practice at the time, and then had to take and kind of weave a story together to make that first particular show work. So it kind of became like a Florida holiday. What happens kind of in the holidays, or in Florida specifically, or things that happen after Christmas. We're usually tired of hearing a lot of the Christmas music and a lot of the things by the time we get to the week after Christmas when we perform the show. So that influenced a lot of that. And same for this holiday show, that we just performed, that you've just been tired of hearing, Silent Night or Winter Wonderland. So we took the idea this year and particularly went with the 12 days after Christmas and created that theme so it still has a holiday Christmassy feel, but it is not beating you over the head with more holiday music and those kinds of things.
And I know this year's holiday show, the 12 Days After Christmas, did sort of have a theme, a storyline, whereas the previous holiday shows that you weren't really involved with did not. It was just basically a nice compilation of acts.
Yes, now it's not to have a little more of a story feel.
And I know a lot of the kids really enjoyed that. Mm-hmm. I had heard some comments. And
then, of course, this last spring show, which was my first spring show, happened to be our 70th anniversary. So that was kind of a theme in itself. Being a 70th anniversary is pretty substantial an anniversary. So we went with the museum theme. Right. Where you travel through the museum, and we treated it like by decades. The music kind of reflected the music of the decade.
Right. So that show, the theme was also very well received by the kids, and I know the music was tons of fun. For those of you who did not get to see the show, which I'm sure there are many of you, since we are in Sarasota and it's a short time span that we do the shows, it really did embrace the different decades. And the music and the costuming also reflected that.
It allowed us to tell the history of our organization here of 70 years. One of my favorite things there too was because we were the sailors and we're connected with Sarasota High School sailors, was to start the show with all the sailors jumping out of the museum windows onto a trampoline into an acrobatics act, and So that was one of my favorite starts to that show in particular.
And that's a nice little bit of circus history that many people don't know about or don't realize. The Sailor Circus Academy is called the Sailor Circus Academy because the Sarasota High School mascot is Sailor. And they're called sailors because many, many, many years ago, there weren't very many schools around here, and the Sarasota High School teams would go to Tampa to compete. There were not roads to Tampa at that point.
You had to travel by boat.
So they traveled by boat.
Exactly.
So
they became the sailors.
Yes, they became the sailors. So that is how Sailor Circus got its name. And 70-some years later, we are still the Sailor Circus, which is a nice little bit of trivial history. So I'm wondering about your costuming ideas. If the acts influence the costumes, or if you use the costumes to influence the acts.
I think that's sometimes it can be either or. Sometimes I think the costume can influence the act, but a lot of times, of course, the acts designate what the costume should be because of safety reasons or the fit of something. Because the apparatus that you're working on, like a unicycle, for instance, or a bike, the pants have to be tight or tight to the ankles because you don't want things getting caught in the chain.
Right.
So you have to take the consideration of the requirements of the act when considering the costume.
Okay. Well, I know that also in the last show that was done, I think you sort of took advantage of some interesting costume choices where the Spanish Web, the performers were dressed as troll dolls.
Exactly. That's one of my favorites for sure.
And they had the wigs.
Yes, troll wigs.
And it must have been hard for them, I think, initially to perform with those wigs on.
Well, trial and error. We bought a couple wigs and tried it before we actually bought the rest of them.
So I assume that they're very light. It didn't throw off their balance.
Pretty light.
If they're swinging their head, they probably had to be very careful not to hit the wig.
We did have a few incidences where wigs were flung from heads into the audience, but other than just a couple of times, it went very well, I thought.
The wigs, they were a-flying. So now that you have directed a couple of shows with us, do you think your ideas in the shows are evolving due to the experience you've already gotten now directing some of the shows?
Oh, absolutely. Now that I have a little more understanding of the acts and the needs for them, it makes it a little easier on my end to create that way. I'm sorry.
That's okay. I was asking about how your ideas for the shows are evolving due to the fact that you have experience now.
Absolutely, and now too that the kids understand how I work as well. And in our future training here, we're looking to add more theater and dance classes to the kids' training as well as the act that they're training in, so that Cirque du Soleil has become such a huge influence in circus now that all of their performers are required to take some sort of acting or dance classes because it's usually part of the act as well.
Really?
So not that we're looking to be like Cirque du Soleil, but to be influenced by them or to prepare our kids to be able to go and work for Cirque du Soleil.
Right.
And plus I think, theater and dance are so influential in how you present yourself in an act.
Right.
I find that a lot of the acts have been so very technical and technically great,
right?
But you're missing that
emotional
wow factor or that emotional attachment. Exactly.
So I'm wondering if any of the new Sailor Circus students will be coming from theater programs, deciding they want to expand their knowledge.
Interesting that you say. I mean, I know that we have a couple of students in particular that I find are some of the stronger performers, like Tom Johnson and Emily O'Neill, who have theater backgrounds.
Really?
For sure. Mm-hmm.
So do you think we'll be looking for like a dance instructor to come in and work with the kids?
Absolutely. We've already been discussing some talks with the Sarasota Ballet to come in. I've been in touch with Stage Door Studios and talking about creating a dance troupe. That's basically like our Sailorettes, so to speak.
That'll be fun.
We've also collaborated this last year with Venice Theater, who came this last session and did a 3-day workshop with 15 kids that we hand selected.
Yeah.
So.
And they did theater in addition.
Theater and dance. Okay. Yeah, exactly. And we talked a lot about musicality and how music is kind of where the act starts.
Right.
It creates that feeling with the costume.